Political analyst Sandile Sawana joins The Full View to pull together the themes and the highlights of the last weekend. Sandile, good evening to you and welcome. Thank you in advance for your time. So I'd prepared all of these questions for you, but of course, in the aftermath of the President's address there in Limpopo, were some interesting questions that he was taking from the media around the latest reports involving the theft at his Phala farm in 2020. I don't know if you have some opening thoughts just about his willingness to entertain those questions and also what he said. If not, I'm perfectly comfortable to move on. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
The only thing I can say is that we welcome the openness of the President that indeed the events did take place. He may dispute the sums of money involved. But the other thing that people have got to recognize about the issue, you and I, any citizen, you are not supposed to deal in dollars without proper authority in the first place, let alone keeping amounts above 20,000 in cash and running into millions. So that is still going to be quite a big story. Let us hope that his backers and funders and other ANC members are prepared to form that steel ring around him and protect him. Otherwise, at the moment, he's exposed.
Yeah, he did attempt an elegant sidestep, didn't he, around the figures themselves, not really committing to exactly how much money, but really downplaying the millions that we're talking about. But we're going to put a pin in that one, and of course, we'll discuss it a little bit later on in the program. But let's kick off, if we can, with the ANC here in Johannesburg. There's a new chairperson in the role, Dada Morero, beating rival Eunice Mqina after the nomination process carried on late into the night. It was the smallest victory margin, 10 votes, Sandile. This would have been a history-making move had Eunice won, right?
Yeah, this is tough. I tried to look at those results. That the top results, as you correctly point out, are very tight. But as you go down the list, you can see that there were people who shifted to the other camps. I mean, some people got 164, somewhere there. So it appears there were some sort of unity candidates at the bottom of the list, but at the top it was neck and neck right down to the final, right down to the wire.
So Dada Morero has years under his belt as regional secretary. It's one of the things, he was big about punting ahead of this process. And he's articulated the fight back the ANC wants to wage in the region after election losses eroded its power. Is he the man to do it?
I don't know if he's the man to do it, but the position of secretary or secretary general in the ANC is a very dubious position, by the way. The likes of Gwede Mandashe come from that position, even Kgalema Motlanthe comes from that position. That is the engine room where you manipulate elections for certain people, you do all the behind the scenes, even tricky work, if you like. So he knows those things. And unfortunately, those are the very things that have actually caused the collapse of the African National Congress. So you would have wanted a candidate that comes from a totally different tradition, a totally different background, not people who are bush mechanics and who deal in dubious programs and activities, because that is currently what has been happening consistently over the years that has gotten the ANC to 80.
Well, I want to look to Limpopo next, if we can, Sandile, and Stan Mathabatha, the continuing incumbent third term as chair, expressing satisfaction that the meeting went off without a festival of chairs and that the commitment to organizational renewal is firmly on track. And in fact, these are sentiments the president, following that address, also echoed around, the comparison between this particular conference having gone quite smoothly and an example to other conferences that didn't go as smoothly. Do developments in Limpopo mark a conscious change in priorities for the party?
This is another difficult one. I want to believe Mathabatha is going for his third term now, which means if you wanted to contextualize this, Mathabatha would have been part of the lost 10 years or whatever, the lost decade. Every disaster that has happened, he has been part of it. Limpopo is one of the poorest, competing with the Eastern Cape for the bottom rung of poor economic performance. Rural province that signals the future of the ANC, unfortunately. A party that wins in poor rural communities and losing in the metros. There's no city in Limpopo. So this is actually, from a politics of the ANC, a repetition of the old songs, old people, old story. This is not progress.
All right, I think you're wanting to almost quote the parable in the Bible, pouring old or new wine into old skins in a way. What you're asking for is new wine and new skins, I think, Sandile. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for talking to us this evening. Appreciate your time. Look forward to talking to you again, Sandile Sawana, our political analyst tonight.